Welcome everybody. Today I'm talking with Thomas Gryson from J. Cortes and Oliva Cigars, or maybe I should say Vandermarliere cigar family these days. But most people will, I think, still know the name J. Cortes and Oliva Cigars. Thomas is the export manager and travel retail coordinator at Cortes and Oliva. I've known Thomas for quite some time. We've seen each other at exhibitions, events, conferences as competitors. But since the beginning of this year, since April, we started working together. So that's a different role. My company, Asian Marketing Services, is now responsible for the marketing and sales of Cortes and Oliva in the Asia Pacific region, and I thought it would be a good idea to have Thomas here and explain a little bit about his personal background and what's been happening within the J. Cortes and Oliva cigar company. So, welcome, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Hans. Thank you for this opportunity. I think it's a wonderful idea to do this interview. So to introduce myself, we know each other indeed quite a long time, and I'm happy we can work more closely now together. So I'm happy to hear your questions.
Yeah. Maybe we should kick off this interview with some personal background. Where do you come from? Where do you live? What's your background within the cigar industry? Have you worked for other tobacco companies or always worked for Cortes? Or just give me some background.
Yeah, well, I'm from Belgium. Our the headquarters of J. Cortes is also based in Belgium. I'm living around a 30 minutes drive from the company, which is very convenient, of course. But I have indeed some tobacco background because my grandparents, they were tobacco roll your own manufacturers. That factory was located not so far from the French border, more in the north of Belgium, close to Bruges. Maybe a lot of people know that place. So they were producing, after the Second World War, tobacco that was sold to clients that were working in the mines. But also my grandfather, he sold quite a lot of tobacco at the end of his career to supermarkets. So he was one of the tobacco brands that was available in supermarkets. But in '84, my grandfather and grandmother, they decided to sell the business. My grandfather had some health issues, and he thought tobacco, there is no future for it. So my children, they should be lawyers and doctors, but not in the tobacco business. But yeah, at that time, Guido Vandermarliere, the father of our current CEO of J. Cortes, Guido, the father of Fred, he bought the factory of my grandparents. So that was a side business for him. They were already, of course, since 1926 in the cigar business, making cigars and selling cigars. They were already very international with their brands. But Guido wanted to do something on the side, and he really believed in the future of rolling tobacco. Then that was in '84. I was 2 years at that time, so absolutely not aware what was going on then. But after my studies, I studied marketing, sales in Ghent. I started to work in quite soon in the export business, not tobacco, but in spare parts. But I always had in my mind I would like to do something with tobacco, because when I was 25, I started to smoke cigars. I have never smoked cigarettes or roll your own tobacco, but I was already very intrigued by the idea of smoking cigars and the fashion of smoking cigars. And at a certain point, I found out that the company Gryson, and that's also my name, of course, was looking for an export manager. So I applied, and I could start in the export business for Gryson. That was approximately 4 years before Guido decided to sell his business, the Gryson roll-around tobacco business, to JTI. Gryson, of course, was not the only company that Guido bought. In the meantime, in the 25 years, he bought several other Belgian tobacco companies, because Belgium is quite known for growing tobacco, but also processing tobacco to roll around. These days, we don't have that many plantations anymore for cigarette tobacco, but still there are some small farmers growing tobacco. But then the name Gryson was still kept. And when JTI bought Gryson, I decided for myself that working for a multinational, cigarette multinational, is not really my cup of tea. JTI, as a company, they treated me very well, but the idea to sell cigarettes was a little bit difficult for me. Also, the family business, I really like to work for a family business more than for a multinational. So I decided to talk with Fred, the current CEO, and it was, of course, again, fortunate that at that moment also another export manager at J. Cortes was leaving, so I could join. And since then, I'm working for J. Cortes. I think that was it's now 11 years ago, so around 2009 was it? So I'm now working a couple of years for the family, but for the both industries, roll around and no cigars. And then, for me personally, when Fred announced the acquisition of Oliva Cigars in the evening, I opened a big bottle of champagne because I was very happy to hear that. I mean, the machine-made cigars are very interesting products that we make, but when you start in handmade cigars, a whole new world opens, and I already realized at that moment that this will be a nice, beautiful future for the company, but also for myself, as I was always very interested in the handmade business, handmade cigar business.
Yeah, and especially with a big brand like Oliva, I think personally for me it would make it even more interesting. If it would have been a no-name, then of course you probably would still be happy, but Oliva is, well, up there in the top. It's
absolutely,
it's quite something special.
Yeah, Oliva was a big brand already at the time that we bought it. Of course, it was also a family business, and when you hear that story, and it can be maybe in another way we can talk about that, but the two families, and that's what I heard from Fred and Jose, they really found each other. So that's the most beautiful part of it. And now 6 years, almost 7 years later, we see that Oliva is doing well. The quality is very good. The quality is consistent. Actually, nothing has changed. It is, as we say, business as usual, but a lot of investments has been done already in the meantime to improve and to make sure that the production can be still following the demand, the current demand in the markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe in this talk we will lean a little bit more towards Oliva than towards J. Cortes, because I think the most interesting developments have been in the handmade, the premium cigar category. But of course, we will not forget J. Cortes.
Absolutely not.
And the last couple of years have been, well, I think, strange for most people. How has J. Cortes, how has Oliva performed in 2021?
Well, 2021 was in many ways a special year. We have the cigar boom in the US, which I think, already started in 2019, but because of the pandemic, it has again increased a lot. But also there are other developments. I think that with J. Cortes and Oliva investing a lot in facilities, but also investing in plantations, cigar tobacco plantations, has helped us a lot to grow. And Oliva was not the only company that Fred acquired. He also bought some private label companies. More recently, he bought the very high-end premium machine-made brand Olifant in Kampen, all with the same philosophy: high quality, high standards. So I think in that way, the company J. Cortes in general has been through a lot of changes, but very positive changes, to make sure that we are ready for the future. I think in the industry you see a lot of acquisitions, but the big difference that we try to have, is that we really appreciate and respect the brands, the families behind the brands, and we want to continue in the same way. On the other hand, the US, as I said, the market for handmade cigars has increased a lot, has grown, but we were still able to supply our international clients. And that's because we believe in the vertical integration from the tobacco seed, the plantation, through the whole process, priming, curing, fermentation, aging, sorting, rolling, aging again, and then, of course, the packaging. We also have our own box factory in Nicaragua. So we were always able to supply our clients, which was not the case with many other brands because of the issues that we see recently in the supply chain.
Yep.
We are not depending on, let's say, Chinese or Asian packaging manufacturers. We could really focus on our own production and deliver to the clients. On the other hand, we also see some issues with the Cuban cigar brands. There is a lot of demand, of course, in general for cigars, and then because Cuba is the baker mat of cigars, a lot of people are asking or looking for Cuban cigars, but the production is very much lower than in the past. So that also helps us. But also I believe that with our international experience in the machine made, we have really built a huge and strong network of clients all over the world, importers, distributors, and in that way we could help to grow quite fast with Oliva International.
Yep.
We used our expertise from the machine made, but we still respected that it was a different way than the machine made. So in that way, we saw also that the last 2 years we grew a lot with both machine made, but especially with the handmade cigars.
Yep. In which areas, which regions do you see the strongest growth? In which areas worldwide?
I think worldwide, the areas that are growing very fast, Asia, of course, with China. But what we always also see is that Africa, the continent Africa, is really developing. We have some new clients in the continent, also the Middle East, but they are really developing fast. Europe, of course, is growing. It's a little bit maybe on a steady pace, but still, yeah. I think let's start from Asia, Africa, Europe. Of course, the US by far, but that's our separate own organization, so I cannot really talk about that region. But what we always also have seen is, for example, that Brazil and Argentina are growing. And despite the problems that duty-free had in the last 2 years, because of COVID and travel restrictions, we see now that duty-free is really picking up, especially the better airports with walk-in humidors. again, because of lack of Cuban cigars, we see that they now order Oliva cigars, nub cigars, and they place beautiful orders. And I think this is a trend that will not change because we are ready to supply them. We have our contacts, we know them because we are already many years investing in duty free, and now we are there to supply and help them with our beautiful cigars.
Yep. Well, it's first of all good to hear that Asia is doing well, because I'm in the middle of Asia, so that's always nice to hear. But I can feel that it's wider, much wider than that, and it's good to hear that different regions are doing well.
Yeah, it's very difficult to pinpoint like one region that is growing fast and the other. I think especially Asia, it has been under a lot of pressure because of the pandemic, but still we have beautiful results in that area. So our cigars find their way, and Asia is for sure, in our opinion, one of the markets, potential markets for the future.
There's no pressure for us. No, there's a lot of potential. I completely agree with you. If you look at your portfolio, and I would like to focus a little bit on Oliva. If you look at your portfolio, which products have been most successful, and which products have the most potential, do you think?
Well, first of all, I can start with our Melanio range. This is the premium handmade cigar that we make. The Oliva Serie V Melanio Figurado won the #1 rating in 2014, and last week we won the Cigar Award in the UK with that cigar. So this is one of the products. It's of course rather a more expensive cigar, but it's a cigar that it's a Grand Reserve. It has been aged for 6 years. It's very popular. It's a beautiful box, 10 cigars, box pressed, and we see it internationally. It's growing very fast. On the other hand, our biggest line is the Serie V, and the general Serie V, a little bit stronger cigar, but we have, I can say that internationally, this is the line that is selling the most. It's the most popular cigar. It has to do with the quality. It's a very good quality. It's consistency. Every year we produce these cigars with the same consistency and taste and the draw, everything. But also the price. It's a very classy cigar. When you look at the cigar, it's beautiful, the ring, everything, but the price is also very good. Then some other markets, for example, South Africa and Switzerland, for example, they are Turkey. They are very huge and they love the brand nub. So our short Robusto, the brand nub, is one of the brands. I mean, Oliva was the first company, cigar makers, to come with this kind of Vitola, a short Robusto. And I think still today we remain one of the market leaders in this type of cigar. But some markets, as I mentioned, they are really keen of that cigar. So that's a very popular model. Then in the machine made, we also see that there is more demand for our Corona size J. Cortes line in the tubes. I think it's a short smoke, but still high quality with Indonesian tobaccos, Honduran tobacco, and Dominican tobacco. So this is also one of the particular things that I see recently, last 2 years, that demand for that product in a certain markets is really growing as a cigar, as an alternative, or an entry level to start before they start with long film cigars.
Yeah, no, sounds good. Looking at your portfolio again, your range of products, have you launched anything new in the last 6 months, or are you planning to launch something in the next 6 to 12 months, which you can already reveal, or maybe you have to keep it secret?
Yeah. Well, let me first talk about the cigars that we have introduced last year, because Oliva Cigars, as many cigar lovers know, is not coming every year with a new line. We are very conservative for some part. We are more building our brands with consistent lines. We have, of course, every year our limited edition. That's always a Melanio range, but then instead of a box pressed format, in a round format, and always in a box, very beautiful lacquer box, different to the original Melanio range. And we make every year 3,000 boxes. That's last year, this year actually, 2021, was the short Robusto 460 Melanio in a beautiful box. And for next year, I can already reveal it's a model that I really like. It's the Lonsdale format. It's as I remember, it's a 44 6.5 44 format. One of my favorite formats, and this is the model for next year, 2022.
Okay.
On the other hand, we also have the 135 years. It's also a limited edition, but it's more production limitation. So next year we will also have more cigars available of the 135 years, and that's to celebrate 135 years Oliva. So this is in new products. I think we also continuously trying to develop a new line, but this is a very long and hard work. So we have now the Series O, the Series G, the Series V, the Melanio. So I think in a couple of years, probably we will come with another line. But at this moment, there is nothing much to tell about that. We are fully in the blending process, tasting process, because it has to be one of the best cigars in the world, of course.
Yeah, of course. No, but well, I've seen the Melanio Series V Limitada 2021 and the 135-year anniversary products. Absolutely beautiful. So if anybody is watching this, you can get your hands on the products. Then the production is very limited. So if you see it, take it, grab it, and try them.
And the good news is, for the 135 years, if you missed out this year or you have not enough, probably in 2022 we will again have a batch of this beautiful cigar. The shape of that cigar is also very special. It's a Series V blend, by the way. It's in a box of 10, and the shape is a kind of figurado. It's a beautiful cigar, and I think this cigar will be again available in a limited quantity, of course, next year. On the other hand, we also have some extra lines in Maduro, for example, the Melanio range. We have the figurado in Maduro, which is also new, and also it's a limited production, but it can be ordered every year. And beside that, Hans, we also, as you know, we have revealed the beautiful Elie Bleu humidor.
Yes,
21 masterpieces. The demand for that humidor internationally is high, and we will soon also reveal who will finally get one of these Elie Bleu humidors. But that humidor will be, I think, ready mid next year. So we already have one beautiful humidor that we could present to our clients and the world. But next year, mid 2022, we will be able to supply our first customers with this beautiful masterpiece filled with cigars. And there is one cigar in that humidor which is not a standard cigar. It has been specially developed for that humidor, and that's the Oliva Melanio Figariño. So it's a smaller cigar, Pitola. Even myself, I have never had the chance to smoke it. I'm wondering if I will ever have the chance to smoke it. Let's keep the fingers crossed. One day we will have the chance to try it.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing product. I saw the presentation. Also an amazing price, and but that's something. The more information about that will follow. Besides new products, what's your feeling about 2022 next year? Do you think this cigar boom is going to? There is, I would say, a little bit of a cigar boom in premium cigars. Do you think it will continue?
Of course, it's difficult to predict, but on what I have experienced or what we have experienced this year, that will continue in 2022. Also, the interest for handmade cigars, I'm talking about premium handmade cigars, it's also because of people are getting more interested in luxury products, especially younger people. I'm not saying that teenagers are trying to smoke cigars, of course not, because a cigar is still a product considered for a little bit older people who can appreciate taste, flavor, aroma. But the trend is there, I think, that younger people around 25, 30 years old, they are not looking to a cigar as something like very snobby. No, they see it more as a luxury product, like a very good bottle of wine or a bottle of whiskey. And the advantage is today that the availability is much wider. In the past, you have Cuban cigars, but today you have New World cigars. So as we all want to try out new products and we want to compare, we want to know the history, today with social media, everything is more accessible. So you can learn more about a cigar house, the families, the history. So on that reason, I think that it's not only because people are sitting at home because they are working at home. No, I think it's also they have more interest in products that are made by hand, craftsmanship, history, and cigars is one of these products that is fitting in this category. So for me, I think the cigars, the handmade cigars, they will continue growing, expanding. And on the other hand, 2022, I don't think that Cuban cigars will be available in big masses as in the past. But also the demand has increased because there is more awareness about cigars. So there is for us also space. And I really believe that with the brand Oliva and the brand NUP, we have beautiful opportunities to grow, expand, and be one of the cigars in the world that you can always find in the humidors all over the world, at home, at the airports, in the hotels, in the restaurants. Oliva is one of these brands that can be considered as an international premium brand that you can find in every humidor.
Yep. Well, we talked about Oliva. My last question, what is your favorite cigar? Oliva or different? You can choose whatever you like.
Well, personally, as I said before, I really enjoy handmade cigars. My favorite cigar in Oliva is the Oliva Bellicoso, Oliva Serie V Bellicoso. I love that format. Also, the taste in combination with the torpedo size brings that cigar to a very high level in taste and aromas. It's a Habano wrapper. It's a little bit stronger, but not too strong. It's balanced, but it has a lot of flavors, and the consistency of that cigar is wonderful. I like to pair that cigar with one of my other passions, which is coffee. I love espresso. I love specialty coffee because it has, I mean, the coffee and the tobacco, it's in the same areas. It's grown in the same areas, while the coffee is on the top of the mountains or on the hills, while the tobacco is growing protected by these hills in the valleys, in Nicaragua, in Honduras, in Cuba, of course, the Dominican Republic. So I really love to pair these two products together. If it can be an alcohol, then I prefer to have, for example, with my Oliva Cigars Belicoso, the Flor de Caña, which is also a Nicaraguan rum. It's a very beautiful pairing, but of course, about taste, you cannot argue. So there are many other products that you combine. It's all depending on your personal taste. But for me, these combinations are wonderful.
Yeah. So Belicoso cigar, a nice Flor de Caña rum, and if you would have to pair it with some food, what would be your choice?
Sometimes we do with friends dinner, and then in most cases we choose for grilled meat, because of course there are many other options, but with grilled meat and smoking a cigar, it's a very good combination. You can do it during your meal without overpowering. For example, if you have a light meal or with a fish or something, then the cigar can be a little bit overpowering, or your taste buds are completely satirized. But with a barbecue, a grilled piece of beautiful Wagyu beef, then you are in heaven, actually.
I'm starting to get hungry and thirsty here now.
Yeah.
So, no, that sounds very, very good.
But also to complete my cigars that I would like to taste is, for example, also the brand that we recently acquired, the Olifant. There is one size, the Teetknak, but also they have some beautiful Brazil lines, and this is a beautiful cigar to enjoy in a shorter moment, but again also with coffee.
Okay.
Very good taste because of the particular Indonesian Sumatra wrapper that they use with some coffees. It's a very good combination.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add, which I should have asked, or if you would like to add to this interview, please go ahead.
Well, I have been only once to, well, not only once, I have been several times to Singapore, but I'm really thrilled to discover with you more areas, more countries, more markets, and of course, meet more people in Asia. I really believe in our cooperation and in our business in Asia, and I'm very happy that we can start and we can work together. So that's one of the things I'm hoping for, that in 2022, hopefully next year we can travel again a little bit more freely, and I will be able to meet our clients and discover new markets for Oliva in Asia.
Yeah, that would be, well, me too. I would love to travel again and take you to some customers, good customers in Asia, and show you the different markets. So that's something hopefully we can look forward to in 2022. Thomas, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for explaining your background, where you come from, and explaining about the J. Cortes and Oliva company, the Vandermarliere cigar family. I think it's very helpful, useful for the people watching this, and a story to be continued. And thank you very much.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much, Hans. All the best.
All the best.